You know, I told my wife, you already asked me to do it. I'll take care of it. You don't have to nag me about it every year. It'll get done. Hey there, everyone. I'm just now getting around to a project I promised my wife I'd do 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we remodeled our kitchen. And I actually built all of our cabinets that's in the kitchen. One thing we built was this pantry here. And I promised her I would put pull-out shelves. As you can see, they don't pull out. So that's what I'm going to work on today. So we're going to go out in the garage and get started. Finally, 3 years later. All right, so here we are out in the garage. We're going to start building these things. I don't know if Sonny will be any help or not, but okay, I guess he won't be any help. There he goes. I'm going to show you what I'm using to build this. I actually bought these 3 years ago when I did the kitchen. These are Bloom, I think. Bloom, B-L-U-M. They're undermount drawer slides. That's what I'm using, and they are soft close. They get there and then they close like that. I have hard maple that I've already milled down, and that's what I'm going to use for my sides. I'm just going to reuse the shelves that are in there for the bottoms. They're 1/2 inch, and they're pretty big, so they're 23 inches wide, 21 inches deep. I didn't want to use 1/4 inch. I don't want to get a sag in the middle, so I think just reusing those will work fine. So I've already cut these to the lengths and widths I want. Now, you can get on YouTube, which you're on right now, and you can type in the search bar, how to build a drawer box, because that's basically all I'm building is drawer boxes. And you will get 100 different ways to build a drawer box. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Just find the one you like, or that you have the equipment for, or that you feel comfortable doing, and just go with it. And the biggest difference in those is how they're joined together. I've done dovetail joints. All of the drawers in there that I built are dovetail. I think they look cool. They're also a very strong joint. These, as you can see, they're only that wide. I'm not going to get much of a dovetail in there, especially when I have the groove for the bottom to go in. So I decided that I am going to use, I have some Festool tools, I have a domino, and I'm going to do what some of them call a through domino joint. On here, I'm going to have one mahogany domino, so it'll contrast with this wood, going through here into the side, or actually into the front. The side piece, let me find one, will be right here, and it'll go like this. I made these intentionally taller, and I'll tell you why. We have canned goods, things like that. The sides, and I'll cut this down at an angle here, but the sides and the back are going to be taller than the front, just because if we stack a couple cans together, I don't want them falling off the back of the drawer or of the shelf. So the first thing you got to do is figure out your sizes. There's a lot of different ways to do that, and I'm not going through every detail in this video. There are some other great videos out there. That's one of the ways I learned. I mean, I'd built drawers before YouTube, but man, if you just scour through a bunch of those, you pick ideas out of each one, you'll be able to make drawers pretty easy. I have a center line marked on all of these where my groove goes for my 1/2 inch bottom. I also scribed a line down the front just to give me a reference, because I want to stop this groove on certain ones just short of the edge, and I'll tell you why. Because if you have this piece and this groove goes all the way to the end, and you have this here, then you're going to see the groove on the end. I don't want to see that. I want it to look more like that and not like that, because that's what it would look like if you ran the groove all the way through. But let me explain what I have here. I have two sides that are 4.5 inches tall. Now you might ask, why do I have different sizes? Because that's what I had milled and ready to go. I don't want to do any more right now. So I'm using what I had. Sure, I could have glued some together, but I was still running short. I have two of them. The sides are going to be 4.5 inches. And then I have 4 pieces cut at 5 inches. And I'm doing them different on purpose. I mean, partially because that's the material I had, but also just because of what's going on those shelves. And then the backs, I got 2 boards with the backs at 7 inches. And then I have one back at 6 inches. Again, it's just the material I had. I probably would have made them all 7 inches in the back had I had the material to do that with. But if I have 2 of them that are 7 inches, that'll cover all my canned goods and things like that. They get stacked and they shouldn't fall off the back of the shelf. If you have these tools and you want some tips on setting them up, there's a YouTube channel called Sedge Tool. He uses these and he gives a lot of good tips and tricks. All right, here we go. So that's basically how I'm going to do the grooves. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of them cut, ready to go, and then we'll start putting them together. So I did want to show you real quick for my other 4.5 inch one. All I have to do is hold the other two down, peel this one up off the tape, maybe. Like that. Take my other 4.5 inch one, make sure I know where my marks are, and just drop it right back down in between them. Just like that. Now we're ready for the next one. All right, so I got all my grooves cut, as you can see. Now I'm gonna lay these out and I'm gonna mark everything. I mentioned mark these so you don't make mistakes. I still made a mistake, even with it marked. This is one of the sides. You can see my line drawn here. That was where I was supposed to stop, and I went all the way through. Now that's going to show in the front. I'm gonna have to fill that with something. Hey, it's got doors that close over it. If this was a regular drawer box, you wouldn't have to worry about this groove. You could go all the way through because this wouldn't be seen. You'd be putting a drawer front over the face of that, so it would cover all that up. I'm not putting a drawer front. I'm just doing the box. So yeah, I should have stopped there. So now I got to fill it, mark everything, and then pay attention to what you marked. Do as I say, not as I do. Now I'm going to put this together with dominoes. And it looks just like that. I'm center this way, and then it's not quite center from the shelf up, but works good. So now there's that. All right, so I got all my pieces out. I got all my mortises cut in there for the dominoes. I'm going to dry fit a box together just to make sure it works. See how those look there? The dominoes will be flush there. Looks okay. It's all good. It's just to store food. So there we go. That's the drawer. While I have it together like this, I'm going to mark where I'm going to start my angle. I'm going to angle it up here, there, and there. And then get a measurement for the drawer bottom. All right, so I got everything ready. I got all the angles cut, all that good stuff. You saw me dry fit it. Now comes the fun part. Sanding, everybody's favorite job. So I'm going to start with an 80 grit, get this smoothed out a little bit. Go up to a 120 and then finish off with a 180. All I'm going to do is clear coat this. We're not going to stain them. It's like a drawer, and I didn't stain the inside parts of the drawers. Here we go, 80, 120, 180. Fun. Quick little tip that you probably would have figured out on your own. When you're sanding these, of course, you're sanding all of your marks off that you wrote on. I just transferred that information to the groove so I know which end goes to what and what it's for. There you go, the tip of the day. Back to sanding.
2 hours later.
Finally. I hate sanding. I got everything sanded to 180. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put some finish on these. So for stuff like this, I usually use a Minwax polyacrylic. It's a water-based, this is a matte finish. It's just what my wife likes, so that's what I use. But it dries quick. I'll be able to get a couple coats on tonight probably. Main thing with any of these top coats like this, you gotta stir it. You gotta stir it more than once. You can't just stir it once and then use it forever. You gotta every once in a while just stir it. Just stir things up. All right, so I got a couple coats on these. I'm only putting 2 coats on just because of what they are. They don't need more than that. If it was the shelf or a piece of furniture or something, I would put more on. I did do a light sanding with 220 grit in between coats just to help it a little bit. Anyway, next time we come back, I'm gonna get the shelves out of the pantry. We're gonna cut them down to size, and then we're gonna put them together and glue them together. All right, so here we are out here on another day, and we're getting ready to cut the bottom shelf for these. I'm just gonna line these up. I've already got this squared up. This and that is square, so all I have to do is make sure I'm against that. Make sure that's down right. And then I will find my mark that I made at, and we'll cut it. And we'll flip it around. I got my other mark already on there. Lay that down there. Almost, that was almost perfect. And I didn't even try to do that. We're losing that much, basically losing that much shelf space by adding these. Not a lot, might make a difference. So when I glue things up like this, I always have a piece of scrap wood, just because I'll put glue on that with a brush because I'm not doing a ton of gluing, but I do have this Glue Bot. If you've not used one of these, if you do a lot of glue up stuff, you need to check these out because they're pretty handy. You just squeeze it and it comes out the nozzle here. No matter what position you're in, doesn't matter, any position, you can get your glue out. Pretty good deal. If you want to check those out, I'll leave a Amazon affiliate link down in the description below. You can put it directly on the edge if you want. That's just totally up to you. But this is how I'm going to do it, so I can get down in those grooves good. Get some glue down in there. I'm just putting glue in these mortises. Before I do the rest, I'm going to put a domino in, some glue on the edge, and on these dominoes. Now, these dominoes go through, so you don't have to have it on the face of that. If it gets on there, not a big deal. Alright, so here we are inside the pantry. This is where I took the shelf off, where these pins are. And we want the shelf height to be the same that it was. So before I take the pins out, I'm going to mark these holes. So that represents the bottom of my shelf, and this represents the bottom of my shelf. So I'm just going to put it up there. Put my level on it. Get my centering drill bit. I'm going to hold this edge back about 3/16 and get one screw in it. Get it level. Get one back here. And there's that one. Do the other side, then we'll put the shelf in. All right, so I got this drawer basically ready to prepare to put on the drawer slide. The way I do it is I have this jig. It's called Jig It. It's an undermount drilling guide. You don't have to use this. I got this from Rockler. You can order it, or you can go to the Rockler store if you have one close to you. I did a whole kitchen, so I wanted a jig. You don't even have to use a jig if you don't want. You can measure and mark however you want to do it. But it consists of this little jig here. And what this does is it tells you where to drill your holes for the back, because there's a pin in the back of this drawer slide. There's this pin here. And when it goes on the drawer, that pin right there has to go in a hole. So you need to mark where that hole is. Now, sure, you can just mark it if you want. You know, however you want to do it. Drill it. Go for it. You can do it. The other part of this is on the side here. I can put this in the corner. It tells me where to drill my holes for the bracket, and it comes with this little drill bit with a stop. Pop it in there. And you just flip it over and do it over here to drill in the front. And those are the holes you use to attach these brackets on the front corner. Another thing you have to do if you're doing this, on the back of the drawer or pull-out shelf, in this case, you have to cut a notch. Some people just leave this completely off the back and then tack the bottom to the back of the drawer. You can do that, but I notch it, leave the back on. Now I have notches like that. And what that does, I'm gonna show you on this side because I got that. That sets in there like that. So that's what the notch is for. Now I need to drill those holes and the front holes. And I'm just gonna use the Jig It, and I'll show you how I do that. Again, it's the hole going to the outside of the drawer. So there's that one. We need to put these in the front, and one goes on the right, one on the left, obviously. So we're going to take this and put it down here like that, and we'll drill these two holes. Flip it. Just like that. That lines up perfectly for the screws. Just like that. Well, here we are at the pantry. Got 4 pull-outs completed. I still got one built for the bottom and 2 for a cabinet over there, but I got to get more material. But I'll show you how they turned out. There, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do another one at the bottom eventually. Again, I know it needs to be done. You don't have to nag me every 6 months. So they didn't turn out perfect as far as the construction. My first time to ever build anything like this. It was my own idea on the sides and the back. You can do any joint you want here, because typically on a drawer you put a drawer front over this whole thing. Well, obviously on this you don't do that. So I did mess up. I tried to mark on the side piece where I put the groove for the bottom to go in where I needed to stop, so it wouldn't be exposed here, because typically if it is exposed, it doesn't matter. You're putting a drawer front over it. I forgot or did it wrong, so you can see my groove there. I just filled it. You know, I mean, I want it to be good, but you can't see this. I mean, it's closed all the time. Now, if it was something you left out constantly, then sure, you'd want a little bit better. But there's what the sides look like. But as I said, they may not have been constructed perfectly, but they work perfectly. And that's what's important. And what's even more important is my wife loves them. So we're good. That's going to end this one. I'm hoping to do more woodworking videos, and we can learn as we go. Maybe we'll learn together. I really appreciate you watching. If you get a second, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate your subscriptions. And I'm going to try to keep this channel going. My videos are few and far between now. It's just hard to get to with everything going on. But I really appreciate you guys watching. And as always, I pray that God blesses you, and I hope you have a great day.